So I think it's time now to find out how the Creation Care Scheme works from the person responsible for it. Annabelle South leads the St Paul's Action on Climate and the Environment at St Paul's Church in Dorking. Her day job is in health research communication, working with partners in Africa and the UK on diseases such as HIV, TB, cancer, and more recently, COVID-19. She's also a wildlife enthusiast and, wait for it, licensed dormouse surveyor, which I love. One day, I hope she'll allow me to go out with her and find some dormice. So, Annabelle, we are so excited to hear all about creation care and how to put it into practice. So I'll leave that one to you.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you, everyone. I'm so excited that you're all here tonight to hear about this. So, as Christians, and as Ruth talked about, we know the earth is the Lord's and it is good. We also know that his creation is in trouble because of the damage caused by humans, and that our neighbours around the world are suffering because of this. So we know we must act. At St Paul's Church, Dorking, we've spent the last few years trying to improve how we as a church care for God's creation. We were delighted to receive our Silver Eco Church Award in October 2018, but we were aware that we could have a much greater impact if we could really engage the people who make up our church with caring for creation. I think many Christians are recognizing the need for action in their own lives, but this covers so many different things, it can be hard to know how to start or what to prioritize. Over the last 18 months, we have developed a scheme aimed at church households to help them look at 7 areas of their life to see where they're doing well and give ideas for action to care for God's creation. The areas are worship and prayer, a home, garden, travel, food, possessions, and community and global engagement. The Creation Care Scheme is designed to help households systematically look at these areas, to see where they're doing well and give ideas for how they can better care for God's creation. We decided to focus on households rather than individuals, as many of the decisions that we make that affect the environment, such as where we get our electricity from or how high our thermostat is set to or what we eat, are often made at the household rather than individual level. Hopefully, by working through the Creation Care Scheme together with the people we live with, we can discuss these decisions, the values that inform them, and why we care. And these conversations are important. In fact, Catherine Hayhoe, who is a leading climate scientist and a Christian, says that talking about climate change with those we love is one of the most important things we can do. So hopefully the scheme will help start those discussions. The Creation Care Scheme is designed to help households work out what their next steps are in caring for God's creation, whether they're completely new to this or have been trying to live sustainably for years. So this means we've tried to set bronze at an achievable level for many people, while also making gold really ambitious to help households who already do a lot identify where they could further improve. So don't be discouraged if you're not already at the award level you'd like to be when you join the scheme. The Anglican baptism liturgy describes the church as Christ's pilgrim people. As a fan of Plymouth Argyle Football Club, who are also known as the Pilgrims, I've always enjoyed that description. And I think it's really appropriate here. When we give our lives to Jesus, we don't instantly become perfect, but we begin on a journey starting from wherever we happen to be to become more like Christ. Rather than be daunted at how far we have to go, we should instead get on with taking this next step and then the next. So if you feel overwhelmed by the scale of the challenge of responding to climate breakdown and other environmental problems, use the Creation Care Scheme to help you identify which areas you need to work on first and focus on taking that first step and then the one after and so on as we press on towards the goal. We don't want this to be a one-off thing where people complete the questions, get a certificate, and then never think about it again. We want people to keep engaging with it, making changes, and working their way up through the awards levels. As has already been mentioned, the Creation Care Scheme is inspired by Eco Church. So those of you who've already been involved in that will recognise similarities. It's built around a questionnaire and households can achieve bronze, silver and gold awards. So I think it's about time I showed you the website so you can see what we're talking about. Hopefully now you can see the website. So to get started on the scheme, go to creationcare.org.uk and then click on the households link in the menu at the top. So there you can register an account with an email address and a password and click submit. You'll then get sent an email with a link to verify your account. If you don't see an email within a few minutes, just check your junk mail folder. You can also sign up to receive monthly email newsletters with ideas, tips and resources using this form here. So once you've verified your account and logged into it, you will be taken to this page, which is just coming up now with my internet speed. Here we go. So enter a household name for your household, and also fill in how many people live in your household. And this is important for some of the calculations that happen behind the scenes of the scheme. If your church has registered for the scheme, signed up to it as a church, then you can link your account to that using that box there. But don't worry if it hasn't. You can just leave that box blank. Once you've done that, click save. And then you can go and have a look at the dashboard, which gives you an overview of how you're doing in the different areas. So you can see that the 7 areas that I spoke about each have their own box. So pick one of the 7 areas, click on update answers, and then you'll get taken through to the questions for that area. So most of these questions are drop-down questions. So work your way through it, picking the right answer for you, or the closest one to your household situation. You'll see at the bottom, as you complete the questions, your score goes up, and you can also see what award level you're at in that area. So when you've finished that, click save and it will take you back to the dashboard. To get to bronze, you need to score a quarter of the available points in that area, half for silver and 3/4 for gold. So there are more than 120 questions in total in this scheme. So you might like to work on it over several sessions rather than try and do it all in one go. Simply log back in next time you want to work on it and pick up where you left off. If you don't have a garden, don't worry. The first question you get asked in that section is, do you have a garden? And if you don't have to answer any other questions. Once you've completed all 7 areas, you'll be able to see whether you've reached an overall award level here at the bottom. So at the moment, because we haven't filled in all the other sections, we've got none. But to get to a bronze level overall, you need to have achieved bronze level in each of the 7 areas, or 6 if you don't have a garden. For silver, you need to get to silver at least silver in each of the areas, and to get to gold, you need to get to gold in all the areas, which means that you may well have some areas where you're not at the level that you want to be at. So perhaps that's a good place to start, looking back through those areas where you're not scoring so well, and seeing what changes you'd need to make to reach the level you'd want to get to. And you can do this if you have a look at how the points change and how your awards change. If you pick different answers in the questions, you can see what changes you might need to make to reach that. So once you've achieved an award level, you can access your certificate. A box will appear here where you can click on the link, and then you'll be taken to your certificate in the browser, and you can use your browser options to save that certificate or print it off. If your account is linked to a church that is registered for the scheme, when you achieve an award, your church's nominated contact person will receive an email telling them that the household name here that you've entered here have achieved bronze or silver or gold awards. And if your church is choosing to give out certificates during services or in some other way, then they can give you out those certificates then. So other things to point out about the website, there's a resources page which has some useful links to things which I've come across which have helped me in my creation care journey. And that's something which hopefully will be expanding and growing as people suggest more things that we can put on there. So that's worth looking at. The About the website page contains information about how it all works. And then the frequently asked questions is where we put some answers to some of the questions we get asked most frequently. And that will be expanding as we get asked more questions. So do keep an eye on that if you do have any questions. As you can probably imagine, a scheme like this doesn't happen overnight. And there are some key people I need to thank. Firstly, everyone at St Paul's Church Dorking who is involved in developing, piloting the scheme, supporting its creation, and particularly obviously Ruth and my husband Chris, who has been a sounding board, tester, encourager and Excel advisor. And the person who made the generous donation that made this website possible, I've got to thank a lot as well. Grant and Paul at Design Links for turning that Excel file with complex formulae into a user-friendly website. And Guildford Diocese Environment Group, who've supported and encouraged the development of the scheme. Helen and Andy at Our Rocha have given some really wise advice. I'd like to thank everyone who's helped promote the scheme, and particularly Tear Fund for their support. And then obviously Hannah, Ruth, Dave and Helen for their contributions this evening, and everybody for joining. I'm so excited to finally be able to share this with you all, so thank you.